Blackwater Station. Chapter 1. The Last Train. I used to work maintenance for the underground, not the glamorous side tourists take pictures of. I worked the tunnels nobody saw, the abandoned platforms, the dead electrical rooms, the forgotten service lines that still existed beneath London like buried veins. Most nights were simple. Replace damaged cabling, inspect tunnel leaks, clear debris. But every few months, someone from operations would mention Blackwater Station, always quietly, always like they regretted saying it. At first, I thought it was just another urban legend workers passed around to scare trainees, a station that appeared on maps from the 1970s but officially never existed. An abandoned platform where trains occasionally stopped, even though there was no scheduled service. A place maintenance crews refused to enter alone. I laughed at all of it, until the night I saw the train myself. It started during a storm in November. Rain hammered the streets above so hard the tunnels were leaking through old brick seams. My supervisor, Colin, handed me a flashlight and a work order. "Signal fault near Southbridge Junction," he said. Then he paused. His eyes flicked toward the paper again. "If you hear announcements," he added, "ignore them." I thought he was joking. He wasn't smiling. The access tunnel smelled like wet rust. Every footstep echoed for miles. I followed the maintenance path beside the rails until I reached an old signal cabinet sparking against the wall. The fault looked simple: water damage. I crouched beside the cabinet and started replacing a burnt relay. That's when the station announcement started. A woman's voice crackled through the darkness. "Blackwater service arriving in 2 minutes." I froze. There were no speakers in that tunnel. No active lines nearby either, just dead service tracks. The voice repeated itself. Closer this time. I stood slowly and pointed my flashlight down the tunnel. Nothing. Just darkness. Then I heard rails screaming somewhere ahead. A train braking. I should have left. Instead, I walked toward the sound. Curiosity gets people killed. The tunnel curved sharply before opening into an abandoned platform covered in dust. Blackwater Station. The name was printed across cracked white tiles. Half the letters were missing. Water dripped from the ceiling in slow, rhythmic taps, and sitting beside the platform was a train. Old. Silver paint peeling, interior lights flickering weakly. Its doors stood open. No driver, no passengers, just empty seats waiting in silence. Then the announcement returned. "Final boarding call." One of the train lights blinked on. Inside the carriage, I saw someone sitting perfectly still. Chapter 2. The Passenger. I moved closer to the train. The figure inside never moved. At first I thought it was a mannequin. Then I noticed the breathing. Slow, barely visible. The passenger wore an old underground uniform, stained dark around the sleeves. His face stayed hidden beneath the flickering carriage lights. When I stepped onto the train, every door slammed shut behind me. The lights went out. For a second, the carriage was completely black. Then emergency lighting flickered on. The passenger was suddenly sitting directly across from me. I hadn't heard him move. "You shouldn't be here," the man whispered. His voice sounded dry, like he hadn't spoken in years. I reached for the emergency handle. Nothing happened. Outside the windows, the platform was gone. Only darkness rushed past. The train was moving, fast. My radio crackled, static, then Colin's voice. "Get off the train." The passenger slowly turned his head toward me. "He told me that too," he said. I noticed then that his reflection in the window wasn't matching his movements. The reflection kept staring forward, smiling. The train finally stopped, but not at a station. The doors opened into another tunnel, this one older than anything I'd seen before. Brick walls black with age, electrical cables hanging like vines. The passenger stood and walked out. Before leaving, he looked back at me. "If they see you," he said quietly, "don't let them know your name." Then he disappeared into the dark. Something moved deeper in the tunnel, multiple footsteps, coming toward the train. Chapter 3. The Lost Workers I Ran. The tunnel behind the train split into several maintenance passages. I picked one at random. The air down there felt wrong, too warm, like breathing inside machinery. I found old work lamps mounted along the walls. Some still glowed faintly. Then I saw the helmets, dozens of them, lined neatly beside the tunnel wall. Each one carried a faded underground employee number. Some dated back 40 years. Further ahead, I found a break room, or what used to be one. Tables covered in dust, mold climbing the walls, old calendars still hanging from the 1980s. But the kettle was warm. Fresh steam drifted from the spout. I heard voices nearby, men laughing quietly. I followed the sound to a doorway. Inside sat 6 workers around a table. Every one of them wore old maintenance uniforms. Every one of them looked dead tired. None of them blinked. One of them finally spoke. "New shift?" I couldn't answer. Their skin looked pale gray beneath the fluorescent lights. Another worker slowly pushed a mug toward an empty seat. "Sit down," he said. The room smelled damp, rotting. I backed away from the doorway. Nobody followed. They just watched me leave. As I turned the corner, I heard them all start laughing again. Quiet, identical, like the same voice repeated 6 times. Chapter 4. The Signal Room. Eventually, I found an active electrical room. At least I thought it was active. Machines still hummed. Signal boards blinked across the walls. And sitting at the control desk was Colin. My supervisor looked 20 years older, his beard overgrown, eyes bloodshot. He barely reacted when he saw me. "I told them not to send anyone else," he muttered. He explained everything quickly. Blackwater wasn't abandoned. It was sealed. Years ago, a train disappeared during an electrical failure. Passengers, staff, maintenance workers, gone. But after the accident, people started seeing the train again. Workers who boarded it never came back, at least not completely. Colin pointed toward an old CCTV monitor. The screen showed the 6 workers from the break room. Only the footage timestamp was dated 1987. "Why are you still here?" I asked. Colin looked away. "Because I got off the train too late." The lights suddenly dimmed. Then every monitor switched at once. Security footage filled the screens. Me, standing alone on Blackwater platform, except I wasn't alone anymore. Behind me stood dozens of people, watching. None of them appeared human anymore. Chapter 5. The Last Service. The announcement voice returned. "Final service arriving." The tunnel walls vibrated. Colin immediately shut off the control room lights. "Don't let them see movement," he whispered. Outside the room, something shuffled through the corridor. Wet footsteps, dozens of them. I held my breath. A pale face slowly appeared in the small window of the door. It pressed against the glass. The face moved away. Then another appeared, and another. They weren't speaking, just searching silently. Colin leaned close to me. "The train copies people," he whispered him, "but it never gets them exactly right." I thought about the passenger's reflection smiling independently, about the workers in the break room laughing in perfect sync. The footsteps outside stopped. Then came scratching, like fingernails dragging slowly along the metal door. The emergency lights turned red. Every monitor switched back on, and on each screen I saw myself, standing in different tunnels, different rooms, different platforms, all staring directly into the cameras. One of them raised a hand, then smiled. The real me hadn't moved. Colin looked terrified. "It knows you now," he whispered. Chapter 6, Platform 0. Colin led me deeper underground, past collapsed tunnels, past sealed steel gates. Eventually, we reached another platform. No signs, no maps, just a single painted number. The tracks there looked wrong, too clean, like trains still use them. "This is where they keep it contained," Colin said. At the far end of the platform stood another train. Unlike the first one, this one looked brand new. Lights glowing warmly, doors open, passengers visible through the windows. Normal passengers, reading newspapers, looking at phones, completely unaware. One little girl suddenly looked directly at me through the glass, then mouthed one word: "Run." The train doors slowly began to close, then reopened. Something stepped out. Me, perfectly copied. Same clothes, same face, except its eyes stayed fixed and unblinking. It smiled politely at Colin. "Thank you for bringing him back," it said. Colin lowered his head, like he'd been expecting this moment. Chapter 7, The Choice. I demanded Colin explain. He finally admitted the truth. Years ago, he boarded the train too. The thing beneath Blackwater let him leave. In exchange, he brought it people, workers, trespassers, anyone curious enough to follow the announcements. "It learns through them," he said. "It wants lives it can wear upstairs." The duplicate stepped closer. Everything about it looked slightly delayed. Its smile arrived half a second too late. Its blinking felt rehearsed, but its voice sounded exactly like mine. "You hate your life," it said calmly. "I can do better with it than you can." For one horrible second, I almost believed it. Then I noticed something. The duplicate had no reflection in the train windows. Neither did Colin. My stomach dropped. Colin smiled sadly. "I never really left Blackwater," he admitted. The station announcement echoed one final time. Doors closing. Every tunnel light went out. Chapter 8, The Escape. I ran before the lights fully died. The duplicate chased me through the tunnels. Its footsteps copied mine perfectly. When I turned corners, I heard my own breathing behind me. The tunnels started changing, walls bending, platforms appearing where none existed before. Blackwater was moving. I reached the original platform. The old silver train waited with its doors open. Inside sat the silent passenger from before. He looked up slowly. "Only one of you leaves," he whispered. The duplicate emerged onto the platform behind me, smiling patiently, waiting. I don't remember deciding. I shoved the duplicate toward the tracks as the train arrived. The thing screamed in my voice. The sound echoed through every tunnel. Then the train hit it. The lights exploded. Darkness swallowed everything. Chapter 9, Surface. I woke up in a hospital. Police questioned me for hours. Apparently, I'd been found wandering near Southbridge Junction during the storm. No Blackwater station existed, no missing tunnel, no abandoned platform. They blamed exhaustion, shock, maybe drugs. But when they returned my belongings, my work jacket carried soot marks shaped like handprints. Colin disappeared completely. Operations claimed nobody by that name had worked there in years. Then they showed me an old employee photo, taken in 1987. The 6 workers from the break room stood together, and beside them was Colin, looking exactly the same. I quit after that. Moved away from London, tried forgetting. For months, it almost worked. Then one night, while riding home on an empty commuter train, the speaker above my seat crackled softly. A woman's voice whispered, "Blackwater service arriving in 2 minutes." The passenger across from me slowly smiled, and his reflection smiled first. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe buttons for more chilling tales.